In She-Hulk the Sensational, we find She-Hulk as she's in her room looking for an outfit to wear as she has a meeting with her new boss. She-Hulk would go through several outfits until she finds the right one, but some of them are too gaudy while others are too casual, but eventually she does settle on one outfit. She-Hulk dons a slick suit with a pencil skirt, but as she's on her way out the door, her butlers and her maid has some words for her before she goes. They inform She-Hulk that they have to put in their resignation effective immediately because ever since She-Hulk has moved in, shit has gotten extra dangerous. She-Hulk is distraught as she can't really argue with those results, and then on top of that, she doesn't get her robot butler into the ninth issue. She-Hulk would head to the new office where she would meet with the secretary, Louise Mason. Louise tells She-Hulk to call her Wheezy as she takes her to the back and introduces her to her new boss. As She-Hulk is introduced to Mr. Towers, apparently she faints for reasons. Mr. Towers tells She-Hulk to come back tomorrow when she's feeling a little bit better. Meanwhile, Louise is taking She-Hulk out to get some lunch. As She-Hulk talks about how good looking Mr. Towers is, Louise informs her that he's already married with two kids. Miss Louise pulls She-Hulk into a different panel, and next thing you know, they're in a restaurant with She-Hulk wondering how she even did that. Louise goes on to explain that back in the day, she used to be a hero as well, known as the Phantom Blonde. In those days, Louise Grant worked as a secretary for Mark Mason at a detective agency. Now, of course, Mark Mason was in love with her alter ego, the Blonde Phantom. Eventually, Louise would reveal her secret identity and the two of them would be married. But unfortunately for Louise and Mark Mason, once her comic ended, something remarkable happened. They started getting old. But one day it happened. The Submariner returned, as well as Captain America, just as young as the day they were drew. Mark Mason and Louise would wait for their time to return, but unfortunately, they never did, and eventually, Mark ended up dying. But as Louise is talking to She-Hulk, suddenly, a big ass metal leg crushes the table as Stiltman has arrived. Stiltman has recently escaped from prison, and he's come to take revenge on the She-Hulk. Now, She-Hulk is not getting an $800 suit dirty, so she strips down to her underclothes and prepares to do battle. She-Hulk rushes in, and using her incredible strength, she leaps to the top of the tentacle leg to reach Stiltman. But unfortunately, Stiltman shocks her, forcing her to fall back. She-Hulk would fall in a trash can, but She-Hulk is not done yet because as she hops out, she runs over to Stiltman and grabs two of his metal legs, forcing him to fall. Now, this pisses Stiltman off, and as he regains his footing, he stomps She-Hulk into the concrete. She-Hulk gets put in the dirt, and she gets stomped so far that she ends up falling into the subway and into a train. She-Hulk gets dragged headfirst through the train as she's pretty much getting her ass whooped at this point. Now, Louise is like, oh shit, She-Hulk is getting her ass whooped, so maybe it's time the Blonde Phantom comes out of retirement. But as Louise thinks of her current physique, she thinks she should probably come up with a different plan. Louise would run to the restaurant and she would grab one of the chefs and they would run to the site of the fight with a big ass gallon of lard. The chef would spill lard all over the battlefield, all over Stiltman's metal feet. As Stiltman can no longer regain his balance, he's forced to detach the lower part of his legs in order to regain some of his footing. But as Stiltman detaches, She-Hulk is not done yet as she punches her way right out of the concrete and she goes directly for Stiltman. She-Hulk would grab what remains of Stiltman's metal legs and she would pull them apart until Stiltman falls right into her arms. With the day saved, She-Hulk would thank Louise for her quick thinking, but Louise is more impressed by how She-Hulk's outfit doesn't have so much of a tear in it. She-Hulk shows her the label, and that's because this outfit is protected by the Comic Code Authority. To be continued.